going to happen now. They're actually going to like come out and say that they're here and stuff. So yeah, I'm just really interested in it.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I'm in a similar boat. I've been studying it my whole life, basically since I was a little kid, and off and on, just touching base with it. And just recently, it's kind of like the streets have been swept clear, or the chaff has been swept away, so we can all talk about it. And it
Yeah.
turns out everybody's secretly weird. And they were
Yeah.
just hiding. But I'm like, okay, now's the time. Um, yeah, I just got this YouTube going. Um, so your mom, obviously, your mom was a big effect on your original interest in this. Did you have any
Yeah,
other
I
experiences
think she must
personally?
have been. Um, well, kind of. So we rescued a hedgehog about a year ago, and we were looking after it in our garden. And my son and I were out there one night because obviously hedgehogs are nocturnal, and we were just outside hanging out with the hedgehog in the garden. And it was dark, and it was a clear night, quite a few stars around, and we were just looking up. Like, I've always had a fascination with the stars as well. I did actually start doing a physics degree because I wanted to be a theoretical physicist at one point, but that didn't quite happen. But so we were out there looking at the sky, and then this white light kind of just appeared. It was no bigger than a star, to be honest, but it moved across the sky in like just a definite, constant, quite fast speed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to sort of describe how far, but across quite a large like area of the sky, I guess, within maybe like a couple of seconds. And then it just stopped and disappeared. And then exactly the same thing happened. Another white light just appeared, moved across exactly the same path and just disappeared. And then another one, there were three of them. And like my son and I were watching, I was like, oh my God, did you see that? Like, that was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And I
Did it
don't know what
stop
it
before
was.
it disappeared? Like it stopped and hung and then disappeared, or
It didn't stop and hang. No, it literally just
just
finished its
flipped?
like journey and just disappeared, kind of thing.
I've seen that
So that's,
same thing
have you?
happen. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, the where the light goes across just a section of sky and then it does it again and then it does it again and just appears, disappears, appears, disappears, same section of sky a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
watch for
Yeah,
these
it's
things a
weird.
lot. That sounds like really interesting. I mean, lots of people could say that could maybe be a satellite coming into view and you're watching seeing the flare, or a stream of like satellites, but usually those are pretty
Yeah.
constant all the way across. I
Yeah,
have
I've seen the International Space Station. I know like what satellites kind of look like and the speed and stuff. This was faster than a satellite. Um, Definitely not planes or anything, just because of the speed and the way it happened. Not shooting stars, I've seen plenty of those. I spent quite a lot of time looking at the sky in my life, so I'm quite familiar with like what other stuff looks like, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. But yeah, I don't know what it was.
we're having some housekeeping, but that sounds really interesting. The interesting thing to me about the whole story is connected to the hedgehog. Like um there's the McMinnville sightings in the 50s that made the New York Times, or sorry, Time magazine. It was a rabbit farmer gal, I believe, that was checking her rabbits and stuff. And I just find
Yeah,
this curious connection to the natural world. I
yeah.
think it has a lot to do with it. Our sensitivity to nature and smaller things might open doorways
Okay.
to being able to see things. I don't know if that sounds too strange, but
No, not really. Maybe I'm
yeah.
open-minded. Could be.
Well, we're about to get, I'm trying to get Daniel's camera working. We were having this amazing conversation about warp technology and the real implications of this faster than light travel stuff. And it gets pretty weird down the rabbit hole. So we're going to suspend judgment and put a pin in it, as they say,
Yeah.
until after the, well, I don't know if we're doing a full talk. We have a video out there we made. It's in the Discord called Warped Physics, and the UAP Society Discord, which shout out as always to those wonderful people. We have a science deep dive channel. We go through a lot of this. You'll find these links. But it's really, it works. I don't know. I might have it wrong, but it seems a little bit like the infinite improbability drive from Hitchhikers, as strange as that sounds. It's about branching patterns in the universe. So hold on, I'm doing some tech support on the fly. It could be with the video. Emma, are you able to? I don't want to. I'm not allowed to, and also don't want to force anybody to go on video. But this is tech right now. I'm trying to figure out if I need to flip a switch in Zoom to let people have video or not. It might be something on my end.
It just says on my screen, because I've dialed in from my iPhone, it just says your video is stopped.
Okay.
I'm not sure how
I didn't think I'd have to
that.
tell the video. I didn't think I'd have to give it permission on the back end for people to turn on their video. But it sounds like that might be the case. Just bear with me for a second here. He did something. Did it work? Still don't see you, Dan. 1 second.
No, I'm not sure.
Wait, I'm getting people. Oh, Tim Taylor is going to come in. This is a doctor of physics that helped image the M82 black hole center of our universe. I'm not sure if it's the exact black hole. I might have to go do some homework. But this guy's super cool. Try to keep my head on straight here. Like I can do this. 1 second. Dead air. Sooner or later, I'd love this to be, did you ever watch Art Bell or listen to Art Bell or come across that show back in the day? Anybody?
Can you hear me now? Does that work?
I can hear you. Yeah, there you are.
Yes.
How's it going? Oh, we got video too, so I don't have to flip a switch. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
No, I'm just stupid with these things.
And you're getting used to Zoom.
You said is there something I have to do for the 1080 thing?
You might have to go into the quick little chevron next to what would now be your stop video button, the upward chevron, and you go to video settings.
HD.
HD, yeah, there's the thing.
There we go.
Yeah, mine's stuck on there now. Yeah. So we might get Tim in here. That'd be super rad. I was asking Tim about his opinions about what would happen if you went into like dilated time and were able to dilate time and go into the microwave background. And he was like, I've got a headache. Don't make me think about that right now.
Wait, no, so to dilating time to go into the microwave background?
Well, like if you could slow or speed up time, how would the edges of our perception, like the bottoms or tops of the electromagnetic spectrum as we know it,
was like, so according to special relativity, if you go faster, so if you go, the closer you get to the speed of light, the more time is going to slow down for you. So the rest of the universe will start going by quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can like get to the end of the universe, so to speak, wherever that might be. Now we can talk about different like ultimate fates of the universe, and that's kind of like a different conversation. But then we talked last time about then if you cross the threshold into FTL, then you start going back in time. So there's like a weird exchange that goes on. But yeah, no, if you just go relativistically forward in time, that's a lot easier to do. You just have to go fast or close to a black hole. Then yeah, you can slow down time for you and kind of like watch time go by.
The universe go by.
As long as you just don't give a shit about the world like dying in front of your eyes at a rapid pace.
Right. As an interesting thing about scale that occurred to me, and this is weird, and I know it's trigonometry, basic trigonometry about where the rays get to your eyes, why smaller things as they're moving away get smaller, right? That's the way the rays into your lens, right? But part of me wonders if that trigonometric ratio is a 1-to-1 kind of isometric factor of, what am I saying? It's always occurred to me, as you get bigger, things get smaller. And also is the case that when you get farther away, they get smaller. And maybe that's just a childish connection I'm making, but I wonder if that's something in the nature of the simulation universe experience, something like that. And if that could, part of me wonders if you turned on this warp thing, if you instead of, things stretching to the horizon, or, the UV shift happening in front and the red behind, and as they say, it would be more like you kind of bubble and you feel yourself, and everything would get real small away from you as the things that are big things, I'm saying, come past you, and you're kind of scale warping. So I wonder if this thing, like if you had a camera on the inside, it would look a little bit like a fisheye lens moving through different perspectives of universes.
Yeah, so you're talking about it like if you were on this, as you moved around different parts of the graph, would it like fisheye around so it always stayed the same size?
Right. You catch glimpses of
that's like hyperbolic geometry, basically.
Yeah, that would be such a trip. And again, the infinite improbability drive factor, like, Ford, I think I'm a sofa. We all feel that way sometimes, man. Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, so long, and thanks for all the fish. I'm out. Howdy TT, man. Yeah, I had a hard time, a really awesome ride the last few days to a week, processing all of that. It's very rarely that I have a conversation that hits me that way. I can hear my children having a discussion over whether or not their trifles between each other are worth coming and getting me, due to the fact that they know I'm having a live, and that's adding extra politics to their discussions. Man, I have to be this philosophy Democrat dad all the time, but that's it's all related, man. So if I have to go put out a fire, I will. But my experience, so I've had so many, it's hard to count. We've done the CE5 thing. I learned about CE5 from the movie Sirius, which is a disclosure project film by Stephen Greer, which later, and then started doing that, and didn't really see anything for years later until I connected with a couple of friends that were also doing it. And then we started seeing stuff in the sky together, and that was verified. And I kind of count that as like some of my first real UFO encounters, because there you are with somebody right next to you and you're seeing the thing both. You're like, you see that, right? Yeah. And those are coinciding with connections. I don't know if you've heard of that yet, Em. The CE5.
No, I haven't.
You've done the CE5, right, Dan?
Not per specific protocol, but I don't do anything per specific protocol.
I don't either. Like, I mix it all up, but the basic premise.
I've never had much success with it.
Yeah. It by itself, that's what I was saying today. Like, you can do it and then see some really interesting stuff, or you could do it and then it's a really awesome meditation. It's just a really awesome unity meditation. All it is getting yourself into.
Well, compared to like a normal TM session, what's the difference with CE5?
TM standing for Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It basically is that. So if you already know TM, pretty much there, it's like a universal consciousness meditation. It's a samadhi state. You're kind of, and add some space-time qualities to it, right? So I picture the edge of my body kind of dissolving. I picture the bubble of my peripheral, and I go into the sort of bubble and kind of warp myself. Or lately I've been mixing other stuff up, like looking at after images while I have my eyes closed and letting those just watching those, letting those turn into other things. and those turn into some really wild things. And I actually,
Looking at what images?
after images,
Alpha.
after images is, when you look at a light and then close your
Yeah.
eyes, it's
Oh, okay.
your retina is kind of burned on there, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's sort of woo, and people don't typically pay attention to those, but I've always felt as if that's kind of like, encoding kind of a memory onto your cells. And
I think to answer Emma's question a little bit more directly, like, so you're familiar with like the close encounters of like the first, second, third kind, etc.
Yeah.
So CE5 is close encounters of the fifth kind, where humans initiate contact with the
Okay.
craft or non-human
that's the basic
intelligence.
premise. Yeah, I forgot the nut.
Now, essentially, as the protocols go, just in a hyper nutshell case, you pick a nice secluded spot, preferably, and you go and you meditate, and you set the space, and you center yourself, and then you start putting out your positive intentions into the universe, almost like astral projector, like astrally projecting like your consciousness out to touch whatever other beings might be in the craft out there. And then you're inviting them into you. And then there's some protocols about using lights to signal them and stuff to kind of draw them in.
Yeah.
Now, legality speaking, flashing lights towards the sky, check your country laws. But that's kind of the basic premise of it.
Lasers
it was
are
developed
probably
by a guy
very...
called Stephen Greer, and it gets more convoluted from there, but that's kind of the basic premise.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's using transcendental meditation to talk to aliens.
Okay.
That never worked for me.
Well, very recently I've used the meditation to try and open a gate, then go and talk with aliens in the sky. And the last few nights have had some interesting personal meditative qualities that basically, mixing some of the new discoveries about warp and stuff in with my method, I was able to kind of basically initiate a full-blown DMT experience without having taken anything.
Oh yeah, well, so don't get me. I've had a lot of success with just meditation in general.
Yeah,
it's just not specifically initiating contact with UFOs.
Not UFOs, but they were alien. There was a there. Got into this space, and it was like, it was like, oh, you're here again. It's been a while. You're here for the cleaning. We missed you. You haven't been here in a bit. And then it felt like a kind of like light or kind of cleaning thing moving around my forehead, and I had a headache at the time, and it went away. And it was just a very odd experience to be able to redo a couple of times. And then I've been mixing RPK in, which is, those are like UFOs in a computer. It's this where you're connecting to a random number generator that's housed somewhere, and it's over the internet. And there's this little dial you're trying to make go across. So those are truly random numbers. And I've been getting, like, at the end of these sessions, like 1 in 150 probabilities, 1 in 258, I think was the record. Just insane numbers out of nowhere. I was joking, like, is this thing ever going to give me 1 and 2? I think it's broken. Does somebody want to test this thing while they're eating Cheetos and having a phone conversation? Just run a control. What is this thing like when I'm not coherent?
I was just going to ask something quickly, just going back to your thing about the DMT, because I've never taken DMT, but I became quite fascinated with that as a separate thing, like about a year or so ago as well. And I watched a lot of videos and read about like people's experiences and like meeting DMT elves and stuff like that. So would you say, from what you just said, that they are like NHI, like aliens? Is that what you think? Is it the same thing?
They're scant, it's related.
I think so you're going to run into a debate even within the psychonaut community of like, what are the entities that you're meeting? Are they Jungian archetypes that your mind's projecting about whatever you're going through? Or is there actually something there? Or conversely, is it a little bit of both? Because I've done a lot of fucking DMT. I'm not gonna say what country. I'll just say it was illegal.
Me too, brother. Not a lot, but I overdid it once in a big way, like the first time ever, and I've kind of shot myself from out of a nuclear cannon into hyperspace without a spacesuit, so to speak.
I stopped at about 50.
Right. I just had that one. I've not been able to actually take it in and hold it ever since then. And again, it's a controlled substance, so we have to be careful. And but the thing with it is, it's unique. My intuition is,
every time it's different.
Yeah, and the experiences are so real, so real. You run those.
So here's the thing. A few times, with my partner, and also not actually a few other people. Actually, now that I think about it more, if you do it with someone else at the same time, a lot of times there's a shared experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is it a hallucination if you both see the same thing?
It's a very good
question. Specifically,
that's common in ayahuasca too.
That brings that's orally active DMT.
Yeah. The shamans use it though as an actual training regime for hunting. Is the thing. They get in these experiences and they go out and find the owl and they make peace with the spirits of the animals they're about to go and hunt and visualize the hunt, how it's going to go together.
Well, mushrooms work great for hunting. If you microdose, because they increase visual acuity.
I would imagine. I do wonder, if these things let us, like, that's where my question about the spectrum, right? So are we able to tune the electron spin resonance of the neurons in, the DNA in our neurons to optimize these things, like, create a biological superconductor and throughput, and you get, you're able to see into the UVs like a bee, or you're able to hear into the infrasonic like an elephant. And these are basically power tools for humans to expand our perception. That's what they always said anyway.
I'm sure some more than others.
Yeah. But the thing about Alex Gray, you see Alex Gray paintings?
Yeah.
Those,
yeah,
the
we
story
got,
about
we got
those
one of his
is,
blankets.
Those were done by him, and his wife would have those experiences together, and then they would paint the experience together. Yeah, that is very stands out.
Yeah, they're only a few hours away from me.
I would say it's not a hallucination if you are having the same thing. That's the blank answer I would give. It's not. And I had the same experience on ayahuasca with a partner at the time, where I had my ass kicked by a tree. I was like, I'm not ready for this. And Mama Mimosa, she's like this prickly old gal. She's like, are you kidding me? You silly human. You did all this, and showed me the images and visuals of making the brew and doing all this and setting everything right. Making ayahuasca, by the way, is completely legal. She showed me all of this, and you did all of this with such intention, and you blew your tobacco hits into the pan as it was cooking and everything, and you're telling me that you didn't intend this? Now sit your ass down, you tiny human, and take what you've got coming to you. And then but it was full-blown interdimensional flora, fauna, just things, geometric figures that are turning into trees, that are turning into mechanical shapes and animal shapes, and everything's blossoming out of this fractal of universal everythingness, and it's finally setting on something. And then we had this jellyfish like entity that we couldn't really see but could feel as we were going up. Well, we were laying together, huddled for dear life, naked on the couch, gripping each other, like what's happening? And I kept saying, oh God, please be gentle, we're from Earth, please be gentle, we're from Earth. And tripping, and this thing comes over us and cleans and refreshes and scans. And it reminded me of the scenes, if you've ever seen the Animatrix, kind of a nerdy thing, but they go into Zion, and in Zion they it's all white room, and these light machines come and scan your ship as you're going in to the human zone. It was a really one of the most profound experiences of my life. but
So
yeah,
I've never had
the
a shared
exact same thing.
experience on mushrooms, but I have DMT.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, so this is psilocybin, right?
Mm.
The chemical that's in mushrooms. This actually isn't what fucks you up. Because this little phosphate group up here can't pass makes so the whole chemical can't pass the blood-brain barrier. So, but what happens is when you process it through your liver and your stomach acids, it knocks these guys off and turns it into psilocin.
Right.
Okay. This is what actually gets through to your brain. This is known as 4-HO-DMT because you just take off this little extract.
I see.
Add them up here. You're now left over with good old DMT.
So it's basically just DMT with a little extra gear that gets shed off on its way into
oxidated DMT.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad that it's become more legit in the last couple of years with the trials going on and the doors opening up and stuff. I think it's a big part of this. I'm still not sure if I like that. I haven't microdosed. I feel as if that sometimes increasing the baseline like that is I don't know how I say this disrespectful. But I don't know yet. I shouldn't knock it till I've tried it. I've done honey here and there. And
I look at psilocybin doses in two ways. You either micro or macro. You don't in between.
Right.
So I'll either microdose, and for me, a good microdose is like 0.2 grams.
Right.
Like cubensis. Conversely, and then I might take that like every other day sometimes, if I have it. That's just like a good extra like cognitive grease. Now at that dose it shouldn't be perceptible, but if you want a macro dose, you got to pump it up to like it as the kind of method, at least start with 5 dried grams in silent darkness. And if that doesn't get you where you're going, when in doubt, double the dose, because this is one of the few chemicals you can do that with.
Right. Yeah. That's the Terence McKenna had a process that was very similar to CE5. Actually, he would do that, and he would say, "Come in, little green men. Come in, little green men," which is a line from I Love Lucy, and they'd come in rows. I did that one time, and it was a trip. And they came, and it was intense. They surrounded me like these little squeezy dolls, those little squeezy stress dolls, and you squeeze and their eyes bug out, and they had lots of those like things like that. They surrounded me in a circle and like made this kind of weird incantation, and the whole room turned into a vertical column of buzzing kind of blurriness. But the sky opened up, and there were all sorts of shapes of ET stuff flying around up there. I could feel above the house, and so again, we're tripping out, and this is not subjective. This is all subjective. But that was a profound experience. Later on that night, I think that I got married to a princess of a tiny cartoon world inside the atoms, and also was visited by giant abalone wearing people that gave me Christmas dragons that were bits of light that I could send to friends and family if I wanted to, which I tested after the fact. And actually I did it. I sent these things to people, and they would call me back like as a test. But I don't know. I have too much weirdness. Y'all shouldn't listen to me. I have these stanky old wizard eyes. Hi, Tim.
Hey,
You
can
came
hear
in
me?
I hear you. How's it going?
I was just listening to the crazy trip moment that you're having.
Right. We're not tripping right now. Thankfully, straight sober here, but we're connecting the UAP phenomenon to DMT. We ended up down this piece of a rabbit hole.
Oh, okay.
And we're it's just interesting how have you heard of these maps that are beginning to be made by the DMT community, and seems to correlate oddly, just in time with
I don't know how direct of a connection
stuff.
it is, though.
I don't think it's direct. I think that these are cymatic. It's a novelty wave thing, like Terence McKenna was talking about. And I don't think they're directly connected. But I think that consciousness wise, as a planet, we're getting closer to something.
Sure, we could spin a fairy tale of it and in some way and be like, oh yeah, like DMT is the universal antenna that everyone uses to tap into consciousness, and then that's how we telepathically communicate. I mean, like,
I don't
maybe
think that. I mean,
but
if you increase the baseline concentration of DMT in people's brains, though, I don't know. Gary Nolan was working on this, and he didn't really want to go into too much detail because it's sketchy when you're talking about people's brains, right? But he made some sort of connection, some sort of unique neurology and experiencers. He's still working on, and it's deeply political. But something about the spectrum, people being on the spectrum, and I wonder if it has to do with an increased ambient level of DMT.
Which spectrum are you talking about? I'm sorry.
The autistic spectrum. So we're
firing
all around.
I would just verify that. I am on that spectrum.
Me too.
So,
highly. A lot of us.
You know what's I'm going to connect this to Nolan. You know what's interesting too is Nolan said that the neurotypicals tend to find each other. Conjugate.
Well, we sure found each
interesting.
So. We've all seemed to have collapsed the wave function on the UAP society, at least.
No, you haven't learned. It doesn't
collapse.
I know. God damn it, that's the whole point.
I know. It was a joke. Don't get mad. I know it doesn't collapse, but we're in mixed company here. So Tim Taylor helped image the M82.
M87, yeah.
M87, sorry.
Tim, I'm Kid Dog Bites from the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Kid Dog.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun, and I'm curious, Tim, what brings you, like, you're a physicist, why are you hanging out with all us crazy people? Sorry.
Everybody's crazy, just to varying degrees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Have you had any experiences? I'm curious.
Yeah, I have. I haven't actually talked about them aloud. It's a little difficult for me to talk about them aloud.
If you don't want to, that's totally fine.
To reserve that for probably a later time.
Absolutely. Just to know that you've had some is interesting to me.
Yes, I have. That's part of my interest in why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's also part of my interest in science.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a rather curious person, and I like to try to understand things. And some of these things currently are not explainable, at least to myself.
Right.
And until something is understood, I suppose, fully by the scientific community or myself, I don't think I'll be satisfied.
Right.
It's just this problem that's there to be solved for me.
Mm-hmm. But and I think part of the uniqueness of this UFO UAP thing is the U part of it, unidentified. No matter how many we identify, like let's just say, oh yeah, some of these are grays from Zeta Reticuli. Okay, perfect. We got that in a check mark. Okay, that's a big deal. But I think that's not going to be all of them. There's still going to be more unknowns past that, you know.
Yeah, there's always going to be some kind of unknowns.
It's a big universe.
So I mean, it's just right now we're kind of like a snowflake as far as our knowledge, and we're trying to make an iceberg here eventually. So we don't know where this thing is headed. We're on a roller coaster ride, and we don't know its destination. Hopefully, it's to a good end, not a bad end.
Hopefully, yeah. Let's try to make it a good end, eh? I like to tell people it's an excellent science project for kids. Mine have seen objects. My 12-year-old was at a movie screening in his neighborhood at the time, and it was near dark, and a full-blown cigar-shaped object with lights along the side, just out of the 60s, basically. Those were real popular back then. I've seen a lot. Just showed up, and they all saw it. Plus what we've seen up in the sky that could be satellites, this and that. but that experience for him, and my partner was in the whole rainforest recently, and I've always been into this, but she was like, hey, and she had an experience where she saw the object come along and then stop doing and take off just into the blue as fast as could be. And it's like, you finally saw one. But she was really excited. And she's actually forget which one is it, farsighted or nearsighted. So Ellie, hi.
Hello. Am I
How's it
muted?
going? No, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hi.
We're just hanging out. It's live on YouTube, by the way. Just FYI, everybody.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
yeah. I don't have much of a following yet. There's one person watching now on YouTube, and I think it's me. But recording this and trying to set up the system for ongoing.
Hey, that's awesome. You got to start somewhere.
Right, exactly. And you don't, even if it's from nowhere, you build and build and build.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to set up this space, and it seems like there's a big need. People want to come together and talk about this, and share their experiences in a safe space and share ideas in a way that they'll be heard and reflected and respected, and nobody will be like, that's possible, or some more like, well, that's really interesting. I've thought a lot about that, and I'm not sure if I really see it that way, but here's my idea, and I'm open to being talked to about it or convinced in a certain way. And that's so much different from like how people like Mick West and these debunkers take it. Seems like they're on a mission of a sort, and that's to prove nothing at all.
Yeah.
And that's just a bummer. We have to be skeptical, obviously.
It's hard to tell people who've seen them that they're not real,
Right. And everybody else is too. So by the time they get to you and they're talking to serious people that they think are going to listen to them, you give them that cold face. It's like, wow, they might just go back down and stop talking about it again. I don't want that to happen. So,
well, this whole issue that came up with David Grush and the article that was published in The Intercept, and the PTSD and all these things that are occurring, this sort of, I guess, smear job that they tried to do on him.
It's really icky.
It's really icky. It's despicable. And it's also, the flip side of the coin would be the stigma of NHI, UFOs altogether. It's also a quote unquote stigma. Like for me to be here on YouTube talking about this issue is career suicide, essentially. And at this point, I really don't give a damn. But
I wouldn't say it's
nobody's
suicide
watching
anymore.
anyway. Don't worry, Tim.
well,
5 years
okay.
ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think the only physicist that's not like out is like Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe. I don't know. He's holding out. Eric Weinstein's still on the fence. Avi Loeb, obviously he needs more convincing, but there he is charging into
Kevin
in the
Knuth.
Pacific. Kevin Knuth, and you've got others that are popping online. So you're not alone, Tim. You're not alone. I've seen him. And everybody says Kaku is out of his mind, but he was a long time ago said the burden of proof is on the characters to disprove it.
He can always stumble on something trying to prove string theory that'll pave a way for something else, So like, I don't like string theory, but if he can keep getting people into science, let him be crazy, whatever.
Yeah. And the string theory too, like this came up a bunch of times in the conversations I've heard of. Is like we've devoted the last how many years and how many billions of dollars to chasing down string theory. Can't we devote one red cent to figuring out UFOs?
Some string theorists too, they've gotten to the point, because remember, string theory's evolved over the years too, And I'm not going to name any names, but there's some groups of physicists that I've talked to that have just kind of come to the conclusion of, oh, well, whatever the theory of everything we come to, we're just going to call it string theory and say we're right. That's not how you should be going about it, That's kind of hubristic, I think.
No, and making up new things when your math doesn't work. I don't know. It seems not right to me. Like, go back to the field equations, guys.
Are you familiar with Max Tegmark?
Not enough yet.
So he's got his theory is that all mathematical structures exist somewhere. Now, whether that's legit.
Oh, the kind of problem of mathematics, does it exist in the universe, or is it something that our brains invented, in other words?
And Tegmark's thing is that any mathematical structure that we can comprehend or not is representative of something that exists somewhere. Whether or not it's tangible to us, that's a different question. But that's people smarter than us to debate about this.
Right.
Well, then string theory is perfectly valid.
Yeah, that's true. Got to give it to string theory then. That's the UFOs, though. I mean, I wonder if the UFOs are kind of, I don't know. It sounds like short-circuiting the process, but they're kind of like, in a weird way, evidence for counterintuitive nature of reality. Like, it leads you to a chicken and the egg question, which is what
chicken and the egg pops up anywhere, even in general relativity.
Right. So then no problems then, but which UFO made the first UFO, and which UAP inspired the first civilization to go and make a UAP and break away from space-time to go and sort of make the other ones do this to create this self-fulfilling prophecy of this weird thing that can break physics.
No, that there had to be a first one to make another one to begin with. That's just a conjecture.
And the implications of warp is that it's a big wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, enclosed kind of
warp structures are just another prediction of Einstein's theory of relativity, just the same way that gravitational waves are. And that has a pretty good track record of being right so far. Now whether or not it's an approximation of some grander theory, that's a different conversation. But I think we're pretty confident that in that larger theory, we're going to find Einstein somewhere in it.
Right. And it's going to include that the same way that Einstein's theories included Newton. Yeah. I sort of also, I've wanted to maybe do a meditation at some point, but I also wanted to open it up for Ellie, if you wanted to do a sharing or a brief introduction of yourself.
I'm highly weird. I'm a contactee. I get telepathic messages from entities of various kinds. Some are aliens.
I see you in there.
Yeah. I turn my camera on.
No, I mean in the Discord. I see you around there all the time. Going off, and I like your vibe.
I'm often the weirdest person in any Discord room I'm in, but
hey, that's okay. I relate. Very cool. Well, I wanted to. Do you guys want to do just a brief meditation session? And then I was gonna pull up one of these RPK things and see if we could together maybe affect the it's a retropsychokinesis, the website thingy where you make the needle go.
It's never heard of that.
Well,
that's new to me. I'm curious.
It's really interesting. I'll share screen here. So
it's basically a version of the quantum suicide experiment without actually committing suicide.
Danger word.
Right. We're not unaliving here. We're aliving here. So
I'm no harm through and through. Not anybody, not myself.
Quantum suicide is like the example is if you're a guy in a room. So imagine you're a guy in a room or a gal in a room, and there's somebody that's running basically, a coin toss, and heads you die, tails you live, in other words. But they do this 100 times in a row. And in some version of that reality, you walk away, but that's like a 1 in 200 probability. And in a lot of these others, though, you get part of the way through and then you fail, or you get like one through and then you fail. And there's all these variations of all the ways that you could die or live, right? So that's an example for the quantum branching, right?
I'm gonna send an arXiv paper to the Discord chat.
Yeah,
for people to check out. That's literally about what you're talking about here. So
yeah, and so in a way, so at the subatomic level, there's this constant branching going on, and it's random. Ideally, I mean, the universe is random at that level, but this, for some reason, these are random number generators that are at the atomic level, and for some reason, there's a measurable effect that seems to be improbable. So it's an improbable effect. So it's basically UAP inside a computer, in a weird way. And I'll share, but
George is here.
It's George. Hi, George.
Hey, what's up, brothers? Don't mind me. I'm just on my gaming laptop. Sorry,
Good-
kind
good
of late
to meet
because
you.
my kid's still up, but I'll listen in. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, we're
Hell
live
yeah.
on YouTube, man. This is it. We
Fuck
got
yeah,
a party
bro. Hell yeah,
happening.
let's get it.
Yeah.
We got to make this thing regular, man. We got to keep doing this.
It's scheduled for every Saturday morning, at this time till Kingdom Come. I broke the machine scheduling it. They warned me. They were like, "We can't."
Is this a regular RNG or is this hooked up to a quantum RNG?
This is a quantum RNG that's
Are you
actually hooked up to
sure?
their computer. Well, I'll go back. So I'll go to the page, to the main page. This is the RPK. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Experiments online. These are a bunch of papers, updates, whatnot. What's going on here? RPK is the claimed ability of certain subjects to alter random data generated but not examined prior to the time the data are presented to the subject. Crazy, you say? Well, there's certainly no mechanism in mainstream physics that would permit such an effect. I would disagree. Yet, experiments conducted by a number of different researchers over the last 20 years suggest compellingly, according to some analyses, probably the kind of weirdos that fall in love with laser pigeons and listen to radio aliens, that the probability of the results obtained in such experiments being purely the result of chance is sufficiently low that they could be considered evidence of a causal mechanism in most scientific disciplines. So you have all these examples of tests. I like the bell curve the best because it's basically that is what you're doing. You're violating the bell curve. It should the line should be right in the middle and not move, but you can focus and make it move.
I just have a question. Is this random number generation or, determination thing, is it like purported to be true random?
Yeah. So if you listen here, it's got several different modes. One's a demo that simulates an experiment, one of these quantum experiments, but it's on your own computer's data. So it's pseudo random, which isn't true random.
Hey, Tim, do you have a good explanation for what a quantum RNG is?
No, I have never seen a quantum RNG. This is my first time dealing with this.
All right, so how most quantum RNGs are hooked up is basically they just somewhere there's in a laboratory there's a Sturm-Gillard connected. Do you know what that is? It basically you shoot an electron through it and it shoots it flips the polarity, so it's either spin up or spin down, and then you're basically guessing of which way which electron is going to hit the sensor, the spin up or the spin down one, and then that's how you can tell it's a quantum RNG or not. It's
so it looks at the spin states, and then it'll generate, I suppose, some kind of binary output.
Yeah,
exactly. On the spin. Yep. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And this is got different modes. So you can practice in a mode that's just purely on your own computer. That's pseudo-random, but this practice mode lets you experiment on their machine. And this record mode lets you perform a real on-the-record experiment. You put your email address in, you can participate in the system and be part of this experiment. And I haven't actually gone that far. Ellie has been doing this, and they were getting those results, and that's got much more granular data on these hits or misses. And some of those are really interesting when you look at them. Like some that are gets the exact same number of results consecutive times, which is really weird. And that it's just bizarre, man. What else can I say? But I kind of wanted to not focus on this, but maybe I wonder what I could do. Sure. What if I bring up some really cool video of space slowly moving, and we could do the meditation, and then we could do this random number practice together. And then it might take some tuning, but unless you guys want to jump straight to this, how do you feel? Oh wait, I forgot I'm the MC.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Well, I'm trying to see what the people want. Yeah, let's
I don't know. This all stuff is new to me. I'm just trying to kind of, get an understanding of what's going on and observe so far.
Okay. Let me
sure do the meditation thing first.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Okay. So let me get my videos, find my B-roll.
Hang on a sec. What does the meditation involve?
I was kind of going to guide.
What is the meditation before we get to it?
Right. I was going to do a bit of a CE5 modification with kind of what I've been doing is trying to visualize the edge of my bubble and the edge of my what you call your Schwarzschild metric, which is like just very small amount above your skin, and imagine that dissolving, because that could contain, similar to how a black hole gathers as it spins, gathers the information allegedly on its surface on that barrier as it spins. I'm thinking that this black hole, call it, around your body's peripheral may be what gathers the information of our experience. That's the hunch anyway. So by trying to go into the field, so to speak, and closing your eyes, and zoning into the kind of light that casts in your eyes, and also the higher pitch frequencies that you might hear, as well as attempting to dissolve this barrier, I've found myself in some pretty odd places in the last few days. And then I've done these experiments and ended up with some really bizarre hits.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Let me I'm trying to bring up this picture. I'm trying to bring up a video, so it's nice. You roll, go in my capture folder. I have this really beautiful space stuff.
Do you want us to all independently pull up the same thing on our computers and try it? Or
I was gonna guide you guys through my speaking. I did read a hypnosis book once upon a time, and I taught kids to sleep a lot. So I'm just gonna see if I can handle this. And I've never done a guided meditation with a group before, but I just was hoping to give it a shot. So I got these images.
That's nice.
Yeah, some kind of space stuff, and
that's from Soho.
Yeah, so space. What's the acronym, Tim? Soho stands for
Solar
Outpost.
I forget.
Heliocentric Observatory.
That sounds right.
Okay.
I'm not can't recall.
Okay. All right. So I want you guys to breathe. Try to center yourself in your chair. Make your spine as vertical as you can. try, if you can, to get your feet flat on the floor. Maybe put your hands together like this, or whatever is the most comfortable, whatever you feel like is going to help you focus. And I want you to focus on the images on the screen, or if your eyes are closed, if you can see any of the light coming through your eyelids, and you'll notice that it's kind of orangish, reddish, but there might be kind of shapes, rainbows, edges, and you sort of let those drift a bit and maybe look further. And if they start to change, just let them change, and don't try to judge anything you see. It's an open space entirely. And try to look at, with your mind's eye, the edge of your body that you would call your skin, and focus on that, and try to see it kind of dissolving, maybe getting a little warm, soft, not gone, just not quite there, like you're dreaming, or it's been a long day and you're a little fuzzy. You're not as crisp. Let's say it's kind of like you're open, like you're seeing a loved one that you haven't seen in a long time, or you're hugging your child or your spouse or your mother, your father, or any of these, a good friend. But have that feeling for the universe. And further, try to imagine those boundaries dissolving. And as you see the light behind your eyes playing, and as you hear sounds, maybe deeper sounds that you feel through your body or your feet, or higher pitched, some people call it tinnitus, and you put your focus there, but not too hard, kind of like a butterfly landing on your hand, just gracing. So land your attention softly right there on your awareness, and let it slowly change. And now keep breathing. Take a big deep breath. If you can understand you're not breathing, in a sense, letting the universe breathe you as it comes into yourself and your body. And then exhale. You're sending that energy down through your feet into the earth. And you visualize roots going down from your feet into the ground. As weird as that sounds. Down, 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 down into the soil, past the crystals, past the worms, into the squishy, mushy, gushy, dark, deep heart. And you notice there's light here, even and little glowworms, and little bugs, little bits of DNA and phosphorescence and gems. You stay there for a while. Now you pull yourself back up, slowly, slowly, slowly back up the roots, up through the bottom of your feet again, and past that veil of the earth, and up through that magnetic barrier of earth and into your legs. And you feel it coming up your body, up your spine, up into your head, and goes out the top of your head and turns into branching golden or whatever color branches, some huge tree like in Totoro. They plant those giant oak trees and they're just making it grow and making it grow and making it grow, and it goes all the way out and all the way out, and it's branching out to the heavens, and it stops right at the edge of the atmosphere, at the Kármán line, up where there's almost no air, and you just feel the connection. Those branches are open, those leaves are open, and you can feel the sun. If you're in a sunny place, you can feel the starlight if you're in a starry, moonlit place. And these are infusing you, infusing your branches, your edge, your Markov blanket. And right here at the edge of the planet's blanket, those two touch and become one, like the bubbles of a Venn diagram. And as they do, the information crosses and becomes a part of you. You're still breathing, and you're pulling this data down like you're a big radio antenna, pulling it in. Now you retract your branches down. You're going back in. You're centering on your body again. And you're still here in this body, but you're realizing that you're like a bubble. And there's an energy field going all around you in a circular shape, going out of the top of your head and going into the ground and coming back up through your feet. It's two hemispheres, and they meet right about where your heart is. And you can feel this flow as you breathe, and it breathes you. And here you are one with everything. You're an example of the fundamental innate quality of order in the universe. You're a tree, you are an atom, you are a cell, you are a being, you are a human, you are a planet, you are a star, you are a galaxy. And here you understand there is no spoon. And in a sense, there is no time or space. In a way, these are all refractions of a single entity, which is just the simple nature of being itself, awareness. And that awareness that I am, I think, therefore I am, therefore I am, that we all are, is the portal we use to communicate with others. And you can feel maybe, or see maybe, or imagine maybe others on your peripheral, maybe say prayers or thankfulness to loved ones gone by, or teachers in your life, or people in your life that do mean to you, or pets, or pieces of your heart, or concepts you're really familiar with. And places you love in this space time that are really near and dear to your heart, and you just have them there, and in a way you are there, and there is no difference in a sense between having a good memory and that thought being right there present with you, because in a way we have time machines we live in. So without further ado, you can come back into your body and you can start closing down the bubble slowly, slowly, retracting it into your body, back to your skin, back to yourself. You can put your awareness back behind your eyeballs again, where it usually lives. And so feel yourself again, but hopefully with a renewed sense of oneness and vividness, the living quality. And we go forth in grace with the prayer that we bring this feeling and the full manifestation for this world and all its people to feel this connection, or learn to feel connections, and that we put aside childish things and build this beautiful, hyper technological but deeply connected spiritual world together in all our various modalities, and find ways through the storm. Ahom Takus. Thank you. You guys can open your eyes if you don't have to come right back. So that if you, as you pop online, if you feel like gently sharing any experiences you might have had, feel free. Stop share.
It was just relaxation, I suppose. Oh, if you can hear me.
Yeah, it's got a positive medical benefit for sure. Do you guys still see that screen share?
Not currently, no.
Okay, weird. When it's stuck. Okay, we'll just ignore it then.
That was a really good guided meditation.
Thanks, man.
That was
I'm glad you're
incredible.
here for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
expanded for me, you expanded my consciousness that typically is confined to my immediate body to going outwards through some kind of unity perception experience.
You did that though. You did that. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys, and it's kind of slightly political, but I was raised in a Native American spiritual church that my mom helped found. So some of that comes out of that, so that was a common thing we do in circle, the visualization of the roots and the branches especially, and that earth meditation aspect. I feel good, but I wanted to, is anybody else want to share anything visual, visceral about that?
So I unfortunately couldn't do the meditation because I had to take my son to football training, but I was listening in and I thought it was a really, really good guided meditation.
Oh,
and I am
thanks.
going to try it later.
Excellent. So good. Awesome. Well, the live will get recorded on my channel. I'll try to hook you up with the link.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
I'll put that up on the UAP Society Discord as soon as it's rendered out. But I wanted to go on to this. Let's see if we get any strange hits on this thing now. And if any of you guys feel like going outside into the stars after that with a flashlight, taking a look, I got to stay here at the computer, obviously, but you know, for sure, if you see anything interesting, let us know.
The sun's about to come up here.
Yeah. You might see Venus.
No, not the dreaded Venus.
Yeah, I gotta be careful here to not go too close to the sun. I have a really interesting one of my first major UAP stories myself revolves around Venus, and it's complicated because people saw Venus, but I saw the dang sucker get off the horizon and move around and stuff, and it was dancing, and it was all over the place. And others were like, I didn't really see it. Maybe he's moving his head back and forth, but I could full on seeing like the shadows change on the ground. And I'd never had an experience like this before. And it was earlier in the night that I talked to a medicine man that was there at the ceremony where we were at. It was part of the ceremony, one of these things I was involved in. But he was like, do you want to see a UFO? And I was like, I'd be kind of scared to meet an alien. And he was like, why? And I said, well, it's kind of like, you know, you've got they're kind of scary and they might eat me and maybe vaporize me or something. He's like, it's all movie noise nonsense. You know, what if they're actually really nice? You know, what if he started telling me some of these old stories of Native Americans, you know, the Pleiadians and these kinds of things, old stories. And he opened my mind to this idea, and later on I had this experience. And I still to this day I looked at distant skies later on, and it was not just Venus, but actually it was like Venus, Neptune, and Uranus in exactly the same spot of the sky, a perfect alignment right then that night. And I don't know, I can't explain it. The guy, I brought him out to see it, and he was like, put his hand on my shoulders like, Brendan, there's your UFO, but nobody else. Damnedest thing. So I went for years without any kind of vindication because I had this amazing mystical UFO experience, but nobody else. And it's just so, but since then I've had so many with people right there, you know, my kids and friends. It can't be ignored, you know.
Really quick question. Why is it that some people are able to see it, whereas others don't?
That's a good question. And it's that makes it real easy for the debunkers to call us all crazy, doesn't it? But there's a pronounced, you know, that happened at Fatima, you know, where there was different stuff going on. And people saw all sorts of different things, and people far away saw something. They didn't know what they were seeing, but they knew it was something, right? And some people saw the Virgin Mary crying, and some people saw a sun-like thing in the sky, and some people saw it rain, and some people saw no rain. Like, what's going on there?
One of my things is I think there's like incompletely overlapping realities. People are actually slightly offset. There's a lot we share in common, you know, as humans on Earth, atoms and all that, but I think it's a lot stranger than humans normally have a worldview capable of comprehending the, I don't know, variance and multitudes of.
Right.
As far as the elements in our bodies, all of the heavier elements are from a once forgotten supernova.
Mm-hmm.
So we're essentially stardust, as Sagan likes to say. So there, in essence, we have a point of origin, I guess, where we were once actually connected to this star, which I find fascinating.
So you could say there's some level of entanglement that we have with the star in the past.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, the interesting thing with what Ellie said is, and the different experiences kind of corresponds to these different world lines thing that we're studying here, where you kind of wonder if there's several of us simultaneously that are experiencing time or experiencing space in a slightly different time-like curve, right? Or at a different frequency. Back to DMT, that was one of the explanations. The Aztec-like gods, the foundation of the universe, explained to me is that every rung of space and time has a frequency, a very specific frequency, and that's unrelated, obviously, and they can't be made present for a statement. So I'm gonna have to ignore that.
How did we happen to do on this metered test?
Okay, so
there we go. Yeah.
What you want to do is actually, I'm going to start this thing, and what you want to do is focus on going left and kind of try to do similar to what I had going on before. And I'm going to mute myself and see what my daughter wants real quick. And if you guys would go at this, and there's a sound, but I don't imagine you need the sound. Hold on. Yeah, I would have to stop share and reshare with sound, so I'm not going to do that. But you try to make it, just visualize left, and we'll just see. I don't know. We may get nothing. We may get something. I'm going to start it, though. If it goes right instead, no worries. That happens.
Use the force, Luke. I was trying to make it go right.
Okay. Well, actually, either if you try to make it go right, then you might end up making it go left more.
I was actually trying that. I was trying to make it go right also.
I tricked you.
Yeah.
Because really, it's not right or left doesn't matter. Those are polarities. Right or left doesn't matter in the sense that they both represent a departure from the norm, right? So in either direction, this is good, guys.
I'm still trying to make it go right.
Try as you might, you will not succeed. This is one heck of a game of tug of war. Right. So that's anomalous. Very interesting result. Yeah.
That's cool. I hadn't seen anything like this before. I just kept thinking, left is cool. Boy, that red area looks nice. I sure would be glad if it was going more left.
Right. No, I mean left.
What does this suggest if the bar goes one way?
I've had that happen a lot.
Observing it.
I don't know.
And is it similar? Is it similar to the double slit experiment in a way?
It could be.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
It's got kind of a Heisenberg thing going on. I've been try to focus left, and sometimes it swings wildly right, and then it does weird stuff. Like I'll have all these hits, and then I'll be thinking
What's
something
to do if
like,
you don't focus on it at all?
Right. That's true too. I've been focused intently and gotten then exactly 1 and 2, which almost never happens. Before that, I was joking, like, is this thing broken? What do I do to, set a control on this? And then I was like, that's an interesting thing though, because that, given every other piece of strangeness, that was unique. It's this high strangeness thing that shows up at Skinwalker Ranch over and over again. Similar, very similar Heisenberg stuff going on.
So that's the uncertainty principle.
Mm-hmm. That's where, same thing as the double slit experiment, right? If you look at something, as soon as you try to establish its position, you can't look at its speed. And as soon as you pull away from the establishing its position, then you can respect its probability of all the things that it could be. So here we're not collapsing the wave function per se, but we're bending it slightly
That's the uncertainty principle.
to find a pathway through the foam.
What is that you indicated on the whiteboard, Daniel?
So you asked what about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is just that your uncertainty in position and your uncertainty momentum and your uncertainty in position, you trade them because they always add up to greater to or equal than h bar divided by 2. So it's kind of like in special relativity where you have like a budget of velocity and then you trade it between velocity in time and velocity in space. If you know something about the one, you can't know if you know something about the one, you know that much that you can't know about the other. It's weird.
Yeah, if
And
you
then
know
there's an equation.
if you know the position, the uncertainty rises in the momentum. If you know the momentum, the uncertainty rises in the position.
Yes.
And I
It's-
think it dovetails with the high strangeness we experience with the UAP phenomenon like a lot. And
How so?
I feel like you can see this on shows like Skinwalker Ranch, right? Where they go in there, these serious guys with their telescopes. And in some ways, and I'm not saying this exactly, it seems like a fractal of sorts. They'll go in and they think they know all this stuff. And these guys that have been doing this all their lives, things mess up. The drones shut down. GPS doesn't work. And then sometimes they've got everything lined up for some huge, huge spectacle. And they've been seeing things all week and they've been seeing things all day and they've been getting signals and rockets go this way and things get lost and then nothing. And they're like, well, that's the first time that's ever happened.
So I think a good way to relate it for Tim is like when you're trying to measure something with higher and higher degrees of precision. And then you have to keep putting more and more energy into it. Well, eventually you're going to make a little black hole and then there's going to be Hawking radiation that comes out and it messes up your experiment, right? And so essentially what he's saying is happening at Skinwalker is whenever they apply too much focus on it, it scares it away. And it messes up the results that they get. Is that kind of what you're trying to get at?
Yeah, there's random strange occurrences where they think they've got a pattern and some other thing happens or doesn't happen. And it's hard to track. That's why in some ways the UAP phenomenon has it happens in places like Hesselen where they study this stuff routinely. Like these things show up routinely. And they try to study it like serious people and they get spooked away because it's weird, right? They'll fight. These guys fired a red laser at a craft or a light, whatever you want to call it, on one day, and days later one shows up and fires the exact same red laser down at their feet. And what is that? You know, there are serious people trying to do science and the science is doing them back.
Maybe it's a greeting and a response.
Yeah. So you have to understand you're not dealing with a rock. You're not taking pictures of a rock. It's not an inert substance here. This is a highly, it's a visceral, wiggly thing. It's the same as when we, discovered in the double slit experiment, observation affects the outcome. Trying to control things too much.
That reactivity, that result of say that previous instance that you brought up where a red laser was shined at it, and then the next day it shines the same red laser back.
I'm not sure if it was exactly a day later. It might have been some, but I'll have to give you guys the link of that talk.
And is that a form of communication? What is that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Could it be communication, or if these things are using some sort of time-space distortion, is that the same laser? Think about that.
Did they save it in a bottle and then bring it back and then open the bottle?
Who knows? Theoretically, you could look at the spectra of the laser.
Oh, I was just thinking.
I suppose.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, if you had let's just say hypothetically you did have a wormhole, right? Now, complications aside of negative energy and whatever, if just say you had a wormhole and you're doing, forward and back with your time, if you shine a laser through it, one end on one day, it'd come out. If you had the wormhole separated one day, it'd come out the other at the exact same spectrum. So if you measured the spectrum of the laser and then figured out, what distance from the wormhole would it be, you could try to figure out like what would the relativistic shift. There'd be ways you could try to figure it out, but it's
or you could put a message on the laser. Easy enough. Read the message on the other side. If it turns out that way, now what you'd probably end up doing is setting up the whole experiment to try and catch that laser and see if you could read that message. So other weird freaking thing happens. That's what I'm saying. And it all sounds so easy for scientists, like, oh sure, yeah, your elves aren't there when I look. Okay. But it is. And by now, though, we can't just keep pushing it off to the edge, right? It can't live in Rumpelstiltskin land anymore. We have to deal with it. I
don't know if Skinwalker's the best example to use
for
the UAP phenomena in general.
As a place where there are people that are doing deliberate experiments in a controlled way, or at least attempting to, it's one of the best I've seen. The other one is Hestelin, which is ongoing. They've been doing that since like the 70s. You can look that up.
Are you familiar with UAPX and what they've been doing around the Catalina Island and stuff?
I've seen them. I'm familiar with UAPX. They show up several times on Skinwalker.
I see George shaking his head. Maybe he can take over a little bit.
They captured did they capture imagery of a portal on one of their last days?
I didn't see that one. The ones I saw, it was like a triangle track craft that was showing up on two different IR sensors from two different angles, and it was showing the relativistic shift you would expect of an Alcubierre drive, of a red shift in the front and blue shift in the back.
Wow,
that's what's up.
Two different angles, so they were able to determine the distance as well as the speed. I'm assuming.
Yeah, wow. and ironically enough, they actually had the same frame and an airliner coming through, so they were able to compare it to what the airliner looked like, and it's completely different.
So I'm glad you brought up UAPX, because I'm not going to keep going back to Skinwalker. You're right, those guys are really awesome, but I know the name because they went to Skinwalker and their truck shut down. Every time they try to run the experiment, the truck would shut down. All the electronics, the computers, everything, but it was inside the computer. It wasn't like
because they didn't have an old truck. Do that to my carburetor. It won't.
You sound just like these astronomers that couldn't make their telescopes work when they were looking at the anomaly, because the light that the whatever new things they're used to tracking and aligning to wouldn't align, and these guys' telescopes were breaking when they would look at the thing. I'm going to stop talking about it. It's too weird, people. It's too weird. But they do great. There's a lot of different groups that are doing solid science, and Hestelin is one. I got to tune into what they're doing on Catalina, but that Catalina is very close to where the Tic Tac encounter occurred. Yep. That's just right off of there.
As the UAP lore has it, there's an underwater base there for the Galactic Federation, but
I've seen some interesting lines on the ocean floor down there when I've been looking on Google Earth.
What those are, I have an answer for those.
Those are gravimetric sensor tracks. I get it, but
so they're tracking. So that they have those are where they map out the ocean floor for where they're running the underwater like internet cables and stuff.
Yeah, no, I made a video about that. Yeah, it's insanely cool. I made a video about those, not about the tracks themselves, like these are features, but where you follow those, it's an interesting. I've been seeing as if those, in a weird way, represent humans' discovery and connections between significant areas of interest on the ocean floor geologically and hotspots of biological. Yeah, and they connect to ports and areas of human settlement. So it's it's a four-dimensional map in a way that lines up real geological features on the Earth with patterns of human settlement in a weird way, like 2D.
It's just adding greater resolution to the detail of the human globe.
Yeah, and patternistically, but these lines match up at some odd places. Like a lot on that, and they go right through places like Baalbek and Tiwanaku and Easter Island, and I've got several things, and I just started drawing lines. I'm not trying to find anything. So, but that's woo. But at the edge, you know, you do this thing where you push the edge, and you just follow the data wherever it leads. Don't make any conclusions too early, but this is interesting. This is interesting. That's how it's done, kind of.
Oh, and people keep
Yeah.
saying to follow the data, but then I just see and recurring things of, oh, well, show us more videos. Should you declassify the videos? Well, the
Yeah.
videos aren't going to mean shit. If we actually look at the data we already have, between UAPX and like the red shifts they're picking off of whatever anomaly they had, and then like the radar data and stuff that we have from the NIMITs and all the information we have on that.
Yeah.
The fact that warp drives are really just another prediction of general relativity, like someone out there is running one of these things, and like at this point, to me, it seems more like a Manhattan Project issue, where like we know theoretically it's possible. Why aren't we all guns blazing for it? You know,
I think some people are. From what I hear, there's some serious minds on the task, and maybe not enough. Definitely not enough, given the implications.
I mean, like, my whole thing is usually FTL warp drive, but really we don't need FTL warp drive to explain the UAP phenomena, because we haven't seen any FTL phenomena. We've only seen STL. And really, even an STL warp drive would be huge. It's like a holy grail for our species.
When you modify gravity and create new forms of energy, and I mean, just the implications of being able to change the geometry of the waveforms at of space-time quantum level would be
so it's
insane.
like according to the 2019 paper, in just one of the events, one of the warp events that the Tic Tac did, it was burning 1100 gigawatts of energy in 0.78 seconds in atmosphere without bleeding it off, like letting off a freaking nuke. It's like, obviously there's something at play here where the energy is not bleeding off. To me, that screams superconductors.
Control.
If you're able to control 1100 gigawatts to that amount of precision, like, you could power the Eastern Seaboard easily.
You said 1100, like, change of power there, and you got 1.21, almost 1.21
Gigawatts.
Right. Yeah. You hit 88 miles an hour, and you got the green light to go. I'm not sure if it works exactly like that, but somebody compared this Jack Sarfati to Emmett Brown. Somebody said that it was an inspiration for Emmett Brown. I'm not sure how accurate that was, but
That's
that was
cosmic.
Tim Ventura's claim that those are very closely related characters.
Follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. Yeah, are they connected? The secret link between Jack Sarfati and Emmett Brown. But Jack was the guy that had the phone call from the future, allegedly, in his story. Got a phone call from a computer on a spaceship in the future, asked him if he wanted to join this kind of secret society to build a warp drive as a kid, and kind of put it on the back burner until years later.
Talks about this.
Sarfati talks about this. Is
this on Ventura? Story. I haven't seen this one.
He does, yeah. There's an Ventura episode where he mentions this. Tim asked him about it. There's a comic done about it that George has put up in the UAP Discord a little bit. It's a trip. And it's like, do you want to be involved with this? And he's like, yes. But he went up to the rooftop, and I guess he was scared and didn't want to get abducted or something. Brought a bunch of other neighborhood kids with him. They didn't see anything. But years later, he called Edgar Mitchell, who, is a guy who studied at ESP on the Apollo missions, and he runs the Noetic Institute, founded the Noetic Institute for Noetic Sciences, where they study this RPK stuff, among other things, and ESP. And he calls Edgar Mitchell, and Edgar Mitchell says, "Oh, Jack, we've been waiting to hear from you." So that's the funny little Jack Sarfati time travel story. Weird. And I work in the ecology world, right? And you do enough work there, and you run into the same stuff, same people. UAP community seems very similar, but add some synchronicity to the
party for that is pure spite.
He's just not a very popular guy.
Possible? Screw you. We're not coming.
He bought all that champagne for no reason. I actually, yeah, I was thinking about a sci-fi story, where somebody actually did show up to that party and took him on some kind of crazy journey in an alternate version. We just got the lame version of Stephen Hawking's champagne party.
I mean, yeah, in
There were
some
actually a
branches of
whole bunch of
multiverse,
time
yeah.
travelers that showed up and took him on a wild romp through infinity, and we got the Weasel timeline. Jack Stephen Hawking.
I mean, there's a timeline where he didn't get sick and he figured all this stuff out anyways and became most successful physicist ever. But there's all kinds of timelines we can talk about theoretically.
For sure, and those in all likelihood exist and are still moving. And maybe we can make contact with some of these methods. Hey guys, this has been an epic first run. I have to go to bed sooner or later.
Can I ask you an unrelated question about the plants behind you? A lot of them look native to Taiwan, and some of them are poisonous.
Oh, well, nothing's eating them, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I've got some philodendrons. I've got a lot of pothos. Believe it or not, when I let my veiled chameleon out in here, he likes to eat the pothos, and a lot of chameleon people tell me I'm crazy and wrong, but I can't stop him. He loves it, especially these water-grown ones. But there's spider plants and rhodies, and this is actually a pineapple that I grew out from an actual fruit top, and various things. I have about 6 axolotls. I'm breeding betas. There's a bearded dragon down here. The veiled chameleon's outside. I also have a red-eared slider. There's a blue lobster there. There's a mono shrimp all throughout this, freshwater shrimp. They're each like little planets. And
That's really neat.
yeah, I love these. I just got it's a strange addiction. And then one day the pet shop was getting rid of a whole bunch of their old tanks. I was like, I'm gonna make the shelf space.
You have like a whole wall of tanks there. That's really neat.
Yeah, and there's also betas up here. You guys can't see, but these are my boys. Some of my boy betas. They have to be separated. I wish I had 10-gallon tanks for all of them, but actually I have a very interesting mutant over here that I've got a new format of beta that I'm working on. It's got where his dorsal fin is normally, he's got like a little a humpback whale like hump, and then like halfway between the dorsal fin and the tail, or a little bit longer, he's got this teeny tiny little dorsal feather. Called his little feather, pops up and down. So he's different. Is a new maybe that'll show up in some other morph, or maybe it's like one of Mike Levin's frog legs popping off the wrong side of the frog. I don't know. Either way,
Oh
it's
goodness,
interesting.
that doesn't sound very fun for the frog.
No, I'm not
The frog's
really big
inbred.
on that, but what he's done is basically perturb the understanding in a sense to figure out how exactly tissues form. What is it that gets cells to get together to say, we're making a leg now, folks, we're making an eye here, guys. And that's where that weird stuff with the ear coming out of the mouse and other very strange, bizarre, unnatural kind of things. But to understand the fabric of nature and how it really works, this guy has done huge service for us in understanding. We might figure out cancer with his help. If you see his name pop up on the Nobel list very soon, it wouldn't be surprising to me in the least. It's amazing. Scientifically, a little bit mad sciencey, but some of the best of us. Yeah, you guys got anything else for me? I'm gonna shut down the live soon, and I just have to thank you all.
I just wanted to ask
worries.
something what you guys thought. Have you heard of that? I guess it's a pulsar, or thought to be similar to a pulsar, that has been like every 22 minutes, it's flashing or pulsing. And then they looked at the previous astronomical data, and it's been doing it since like 1982 or 1988 when they looked at the historical data.
Wow.
And I think when I read that, they were like,
Pulsars
pulsars are
pretty
usually
predictable.
a minute or less. I don't have this like super clearly, but it seemed to be like a periodic time amount that didn't correspond to other stuff. I don't know if you guys had anything on
Do you
that.
know what a pulsar is?
It spins.
No, I think I heard something about
Tim?
this. It's either a really short period or really long period unusual. I did
Or I'll Google it. I'm
on my
curious, Mark,
horizon.
because
You
I
can-
yeah.
You, with a pulsar, you could basically have some of the best clocks in the universe.
That's how
They're-
GPS works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
And that one
time
of the
stamp
first
for those things are awesome.
one of the first SETI signals that they thought was something was pulsar. That's how we discovered them. And for a while they were calling them little green LGMs as a half joke, right? Because they came up as a potential little green man. But I have to look up this result. I saw a pulsar news article come across my desk a while back, and it was either it was a length of pulse that was like much longer than they usually are.
Yeah,
Might
that's
have
the
been.
one I'm talking about. Do you mind if I just read a couple sentences
Yeah.
from this Ars Technica article to
Yeah.
cover it? Okay, this
Go
says
for it.
on Wednesday, researchers announced the discovery of a new astronomical enigma. The new object, GPMJ1839-10, behaves a bit like a pulsar, sending out regular bursts of radio energy. But the physics that drives pulsars means that they'd stop emitting if they slowed down too much, and almost every pulsar we know of blinks at least once per minute. And this one takes 22 minutes between pulses. And they say we have no idea what kind of physics or what kind of objects can power that.
22 minutes, not 22 seconds.
22-minute pulses.
Here, I can paste this link into the chat. Does that?
Yeah, sure.
Is that good?
We have a physicist in the pyramid. Very cool. Yeah.
Oh,
like
electrical engineer.
Oh, you're
Okay, I just posted the link in the chat. I hope you guys can see that.
You're an electrical engineer. I didn't know that. I just took you for a physicist from what we all talk about.
Oh, perfect.
I never bothered to.
I can send you another work drive paper that you.
Can you look at the one getting it from Maxwell's equations? Is that
That's the one I was going to send them.
Okay. Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to skin that warped cat. We should get going on it. Well, we're going. I mean, these things with the meditations that I've been doing and RPK is sort of like a miniature version of that. And I also want to start recording frogs and crickets and stuff like that and slowing them down to proportional to the mass and just seeing if then I'm going to get those. And I don't know if you guys are aware of where they're using GPT-4 to try and this is really cool, but they're trying to
Tim,
interpret.
I just sent you another paper for you to get through. Sorry.
Oh.
No worries.
Oh, no worries.
They're trying to interpret sperm whale conversations and build a sperm whale translator with ChatGPT. Because they realize that GPT has this strange ability to look at lingual constellations, word clouds kind of, and figure these things out. So I want to slow down.
I wonder if they can crack the Voynich manuscript.
That'd be a hard crack. I don't know if a Rosetta Stone exists for that one. Could you give it a shot? Wow, why not? Or Newton's freaking alchemy papers, his strange esoteric mythological constructs that you can actually make real stuff out of, allegedly. That's a Nova episode that's worth watching. Isaac Newton's Secrets of Alchemy, which it wasn't useless after all. They like to say it was. But yeah, I want to start listening to pigeons. I got to see what Tesla is on to toward the end there.
Get our object of ultimate novelty going.
Yeah, gotta figure it out. Like, yeah, we're talking about so much more than just UFOs. Like, we're talking about universal translators and all sorts of stuff.
Would we kind of say UFOs are the object of the end of time? It's like said a lot.
That, yeah, or yeah. Terrence McKenna was saying something like that. Like, it's this technological attractor. It's here to flip your science on its head. and bring you back to some sort of humble state, back to where you're doing goddess worship again, almost, in order to try and entreat this thing that is just hanging there at the edge of your consciousness, mocking you almost. Like, strange.
A symbiotic relationship with something so bizarre needs to disguise itself as an alien invasion as to not alarm us.
Yeah, or maybe it's just the mask that the kindergarten teacher puts on when it peers into the playroom to make sure the kids aren't throwing their blocks too hard. Just make sure everybody's still playing nice. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna head, guys. I gotta sleep. I gotta feed bunnies. Well, thank you so much for being here.
We got to keep this on the regular. We got to do this again.
This is every Friday, Saturday, whatever it is, on the cusp.
Saturday for me.
Yeah, Saturday for me too, but just barely. And I enjoyed this a lot, and hopefully there's more folks. And if there are more folks, then we might be able to adopt like kind of talking circle strategy of having like a talking rock, or I don't know how that would work digitally. We'll figure something out. But this we rolled with it.
Slowly going to co-opt all the science nerds.
Yeah. This is going to be a pretty interesting piece. I would, when they all start having UFO experiences of their own, they'll roll our way. Even old Mick West, he'll roll around. I don't know, man. That guy's hard.
We don't need them though.
We don't. We're actually reaching out to the moms and pops, and everybody already knows. Like, I got over the fence conversations with my neighbor that is in the Coast Guard, and I ask old guys that served in the Navy and the Royal Air Force, and I'm working at their computers, in their 80s, 90s. I'm like, hey, you ever see anything? And they're like, I've never told anybody, but yeah, so everybody's secretly weird, and they're just looking for every excuse. It's the biggest secret that's the biggest secret. Go ahead, Ellie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I have a friend. He's the first person to believe me about my stuff when he saw the video where I showed like the alien messages in my phone that my friend didn't put or see, and that only I saw. It's on my YouTube channel, which anyway. But
I gotta take a look at that.
Yeah, he has like communications and stuff with alien entities, and he just recently saw something visual. He went out to go, ask to see something, or seek to see something, and he saw something. I haven't debriefed with him yet. He just kind of indicated, so I'm curious to see where that goes. He's been wishing and hoping, and just like, honestly, he wants to be picked up by a ship and rescued, so I hope he gets what he wants. He's a really good person.
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Careful what you wish for, you just might get. And you guys, please, if you have any experiences after this, mental or visible or otherwise, hit me up in the Discord on an individual basis. I think we're all friends, but I'll make sure to add you, Ellie, as a friend now, and or drop it in the Discord main or in the science area, and tag me, so because they're associated. Sometimes when you do these meditations and these meetings and stuff, you won't have something happen right then, but you have something powerful happen a little bit later, maybe that night, later in the following day.
I stay inside all the time. And I live in a basement, so I don't even look at the sky hardly at all.
Well, dang, this RPK thing should be really cool for you, because basically, like, looking for UFOs in a computer.
That's really interesting. I actually have a lot of stuff about random numbers, but I'll spare you right now. But just a topic to put a pin in. I can tell you my weird stuff about that, and you can see what you think at some point.
Third time's the charm. I'm going to avoid the awkwardness of calling it 3 times and not. But you guys are just so friggin' amazing to talk to, and I'm so glad this worked.
It was nice to meet you.